The storm has returned to British shores. This morning, Buckingham Palace issued a firm official statement rejecting all demands submitted by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle ahead of their anticipated court appearances in the UK next week. The palace communiqué stated, "No member of the royal household, whether active or retired, will grant representative status or ceremonial privileges to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in relation to their civil litigation. Any such claim lacks the consent and recognition of the Crown." The rejection follows a confidential list of demands presented by Meghan Markle's legal team. Among the requirements were the lockdown of 4 entire floors of the Hyatt Regency Hotel in London, instructions for all staff to address her as Her Royal Highness, a style formally removed in 2020, the installation of bulletproof glass at venues she might visit, a private fleet of luxury vehicles with armed escorts, and a full support team including a personal chef, stylist, driver, assistant, and PR staff, accommodated in separate rooms. The list was not only swiftly denied by the palace, but was also deliberately leaked to senior media editors, seen by many as a clear warning shot that the royal family intends to publicly and permanently distance itself from the Sussexes' actions. According to internal sources, the breaking point came after Meghan referred to herself as returning with her crown intact in a statement to the U.S. press outside LAX. The comment quickly went viral, provoking widespread backlash rather than the intended impact. At the heart of the dispute is Prince Harry's high-profile legal action against the Daily Mail and the Sunday Times. Harry alleges that since 2021, these outlets have conducted a coordinated defamation campaign, allegedly funded and supported by rival factions within the palace, including, most explosively, members of Prince William's household. His legal team claims this involved phone hacking, bribery of police officers, and the theft of private medical and financial information. They describe it as a systemic smear machine operating between tabloid editors and royal courtiers. Meghan's lawyers argue that these attacks have undermined her charitable work, distorted her public image, and turned her femininity into entertainment. Several high-profile figures are listed as co-claimants, including Sir Elton John, Elizabeth Hurley, Baroness Doreen Lawrence, David Furnish, Sadie Frost, and Sir Simon Hughes. The case is scheduled to begin on Monday, 22nd January, at the High Court of Justice in London. Prince Harry is expected to appear in person, while it remains unclear whether Meghan will attend physically or via video link. The palace's rejection of the demands was only the opening salvo. Sources say King Charles III reacted with fury upon reviewing the full list, reportedly declaring, "Harry carries royal blood, yet he shields disgrace behind the name of Windsor. I will not allow the crown to be worn by proxy." Princess Anne was characteristically blunt, saying, "Honor must be earned. Titles aren't theater props." The Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie, described the list as insulting to protocol and demeaning to real public service. Prince Edward quietly backed the palace's firm stance, stating, "The law will speak. We no longer will." Notably, Princess Catherine's office maintained complete silence on the matter. Aides say she has no time for drama and remains focused on her children's cancer fundraising event next week. One insider noted that she had always believed Meghan's provocations would eventually collapse under their own weight. The unfolding drama has now escalated beyond mere tabloid headlines. It touches on deeper issues of boundaries, institutional image, and royal authority. As of this week, the UK government, police, and local authorities have been drawn into the logistical challenges created by Meghan's extensive security and protocol demands. A leaked internal memo dated 17th of January 2026, sent to the Home Office and shared with security officials, outlined her requirements for a security-compliant return. These included full armed escort protection from Heathrow to the High Court, exclusive access to public venues to avoid civilian contact, a 24/7 convoy of 4 armored Range Rovers, the lockdown of 4 floors at the Hyatt Regency with security-cleared staff, daily sterilization of kitchens and spa facilities, a personal chef and medical team on standby, and mandatory use of the Her Royal Highness title by all service personnel. The Home Office is said to be reviewing the requests in line with existing precedents and national budget constraints. In response, British authorities issued a blunt reply. The United Kingdom provides security only for serving members of the royal household. The Duchess of Sussex does not fall into that category. Meghan's legal team countered by arguing that her symbolic connection to the monarchy makes her a special case. They claimed that the requested security was not a personal privilege, but a constitutional necessity to safeguard the institution's image. The argument has sparked intense legal debate and widespread public mockery. Columnists have ridiculed Meghan for allegedly trying to compel the Crown to finance a celebrity-level protection operation under the banner of royal status. As the legal battle intensifies, attention has also turned to the timing of her commercial ventures. Just days before her lawyers filed key court motions, the Duchess launched several products under her lifestyle brand, including an $18 leather bookmark, a luxury Moment to Unwind gift box featuring monogrammed honey jars and custom herbal tea blends, and an upcoming spring cookbook tied to her Netflix series. Social media critics accused her of PR laundering, with one Daily Express headline capturing the sentiment, Meghan's royal lawsuit. Courtroom by day, checkout cart by night. Many have claimed she is leveraging the prestige of her royal ties to boost her luxury branding efforts. A former palace advisor remarked, "She wants the title removed from the letterhead, but printed on the shopping bag." Inside the High Court, Justice Timothy Nicklin has reportedly grown frustrated with the conduct of Prince Harry's legal team. Lead counsel David Sherborne has faced criticism for inadequate preparation, with sources confirming that crucial evidence bundles were submitted 48 hours late. A key witness, Gavin Burrows, withdrew his entire statement, claiming it had been forged without his approval. The court has also dealt with delays caused by last-minute filings from Harry's team, including requests for private hearings. During a January 18th pretrial review, Justice Nicklin reportedly told Sherborne, "The integrity of this court cannot be anchored to the shifting sands of celebrity counsel." He warned that any attempts to manipulate court procedures for media attention would face strong procedural consequences. Though publicly silent, the palace has continued internal discussions. King Charles is said to be furious, not only about the public spectacle, but also about Harry's insistence on claiming he represents royal honor. According to an aide present at a private Sandringham meeting, the king stated, "He is not a soldier of the crown. He is a private man acting under private motives." Princess Anne reportedly reacted with anger when informed of Meghan's request to be addressed as Her Royal Highness, slamming her hand on the table and saying, "What she wants is not status. It is submission." Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, was more measured but sharp, reportedly commenting, "If you must demand reverence, you likely do not deserve it." Catherine, Princess of Wales, allegedly responded to documents linking Meghan's product launches with her legal case by saying, "They should try being useful for once." At the core of Prince Harry's legal action is a serious accusation directed not at the media, but at his own brother. In documents submitted under seal and later partially leaked, Harry's team alleges that Kensington Palace actively participated in a reputational sabotage campaign against him and Meghan. They claim that between March 2021 and October 2023, a communications channel existed between senior aides to Prince William and journalists at The Sun and The Daily Mail. This alleged arrangement reportedly involved payments and privileged access granted in exchange for negative coverage of Meghan. including selectively leaked stories from private family meetings and misleading headlines about staff. Conflicts, Harry's lawyers reportedly referred to this operation internally as the Kensington filter, a phrase that has since gone viral on social media. A former senior staffer told ITV's Inside the Firm anonymously, "There were times we were encouraged to guide the narrative. Some did it with caution, others with glee. While no concrete financial evidence has yet been publicly proven, Harry's team is relying on leaked WhatsApp messages and internal emails. These include a February 2022 exchange between a palace aide and a Mail on Sunday editor titled Talking Points Sussex, Volatility, and a June 2023 chat referencing Meghan as unusable without scandal. The palace has declined to comment officially. However, insiders say Prince William is deeply angered by the allegations. The Prince of Wales has reportedly described the accusation as a catastrophic betrayal. One senior royal correspondent was told, "To accuse someone of sabotaging his own brother's marriage for media gain is a wound no Christmas lunch can mend." In internal strategy discussions, Prince William has directed his team to stay measured and silent, choosing instead to focus on his public engagements in Manchester and Birmingham this week. However, a pointed rebuke came via a close friend of William, who was anonymously quoted in the Telegraph. "Harry seems to believe pain is power, but turning that pain on your own brother doesn't make you the heir." The current rift traces back to the infamous Sandringham Summit in January 2021, though publicly presented as a negotiation over the Sussexes' departure from royal duties. Those present described it as rapidly deteriorating. According to one aide who attended, William made it clear he did not trust Meghan, while Harry viewed the stance as rooted in jealousy. What stung most, the aide said, was that no one intervened to stop the press from tearing Meghan apart. That summit is now being revisited in light of the ongoing lawsuit. Meghan's legal team has portrayed it as a ceremonial formality disguised as diplomacy. In a recent Netflix roundtable, Meghan herself alluded to this, saying, "It wasn't an exit, it was an exile." Palace records indicate that Princess Anne was among the few senior royals who openly opposed the Sussexes' approach to the media at the time. In a May 2022 briefing note, Anne reportedly warned, "These public displays of grievance dishonor us all. The press is fire. Don't fan it with your pride." The Duchess of Edinburgh, Hatters Sophie, while more restrained, reportedly took issue with Meghan's determination to retain her Duchess title after Megxit. In a private letter now held in the Royal Correspondence Archives, Sophie wrote, "Titles mean service, not shelter. If we're not giving, we're just playing dress-up." Princess Catherine, as always, chose not to engage. Aides say she would simply leave the room whenever Meghan's name arose during 2022 planning meetings. She believed the monarchy's response should remain institutional and dignified, not emotional, and consistently advocated for silence over retaliation. Royal commentators have warned that the fallout from this court case could damage Britain's constitutional image, particularly among Commonwealth nations. Legal analyst Dr. Oliver Stratton observed, "This is no longer a tabloid spat. It has become a symbolic trial concerning power, lineage, and legitimacy. At its heart are two brothers, once united in grief, now weaponized by legacy. If there was ever a moment when optics collided with authenticity, this is it." Meghan Markle's return to the British legal spotlight was expected to be strategic, understated, and framed in the language of public service. Instead, her dramatic declaration, "The Duchess of Sussex returns with her crown," triggered a far stronger cultural and constitutional backlash than even her critics anticipated. Delivered off the cuff outside Los Angeles International Airport before boarding a private jet to the UK, the remark was not part of any prepared statement. Royal insiders reportedly watched the footage in disbelief. The British public responded with a mixture of ridicule, concern, and, in some quarters, outright disgust. More than mere words, the comment was widely interpreted as an attempt to reclaim not only narrative control, but symbolic royal authority. It marked the beginning of what critics have called Meghan's full-fledged performance, a return not simply as a litigant, but as a self-appointed representative of the monarchy she left behind. Every subsequent move has only deepened the divide. Upon arrival, Meghan checked into a private suite at the Hyatt under an alias, protected by private security contractors from a U.S.-based firm. Her team quickly released a statement insisting her presence was not for personal reasons, but for the institution she once served. The phrasing provoked anger within palace circles. "She no longer serves it," one senior aide told The Times. "That door was closed. She locked it." Further irritation arose when her team sent emails to UK media outlets requesting that Meghan be referred to as Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, in court coverage, despite the 2020 agreement in which the couple agreed to stop using the HRH style. The repeated emphasis on titles shattered any appearance of humility. Editorials accused her of draping herself in royal trappings she no longer possessed, labeling her a commercial duchess and a self-styled crown without a kingdom. Beyond the headlines, the greater casualty has been Meghan's carefully cultivated image as a philanthropist and moral voice. For years, she had positioned charity work as the cornerstone of her public identity. Anchor, launching causes, establishing foundations, and creating videos of her visits with underprivileged youth. Meghan Markle's return to Britain, however, was not marked by any new initiative for women, education, or global health. Instead, it aligned with a strategic product launch. On January 18th, as her legal team submitted motions in the High Court, Meghan's lifestyle brand quietly introduced 3 new items in the U.S. market. An $18 minimalist leather bookmark embossed with a crown, a $58 Moment to Unwind luxury gift box featuring locally sourced honey, loose-leaf tea, and a tea towel embroidered with the Sussex crest, and a preview of an upcoming Netflix cookbook promising intimate royal kitchen memories. Critics quickly labeled the move tone-deaf, opportunistic, and a subtle form of commercial exploitation. On X, a royal historian remarked, "When you leverage the shadow of the monarchy to sell honey, you lose any claim to being a public servant." Compounding the criticism, 2 retail analytics firms suggested that the sold-out labels on Meghan's website were artificially manipulated to generate a false sense of scarcity. According to one data firm, neither product had sold more than 3,000 units in the first 24 hours. Yet social media buzz successfully created the illusion of overwhelming demand. Within 48 hours, the term royal goop began trending, a pointed comparison to Gwyneth Paltrow's wellness empire. While Goop had built its brand over years with a clear health and lifestyle focus, Meghan's launch was widely viewed as derivative, poorly planned, and, in the words of a New York branding strategist, a coronation without strategy. Despite the backlash, Meghan's team has doubled down. Sources close to her claim she is in discussions with an American publisher for a new memoir, this time exploring how legacy and femininity are monetized and manipulated. Others report she is planning a new U.S.-based foundation, modeled after Archewell, centered on image sovereignty for women in leadership. What is evident, however, is that the controversy has made her charitable presence in the UK nearly impossible. A spokesperson for a London women's shelter that Meghan previously supported confirmed there has been no contact from the Duchess's team in over 14 months, and none is expected in the current climate. While Meghan asserts herself, Catherine continues to disappear. The Princess of Wales, long the target of Meghan's veiled jabs and media scrutiny, has refused to engage with any of the Sussex drama. Her silence, however, carries significant weight. On January 19th, as media coverage of Meghan dominated headlines in London, Catherine was in Northumberland quietly visiting a children's cancer care centre. Dressed simply in a navy overcoat and muddy boots, with no makeup or designer attire, she spent 2 hours speaking gently with nurses and grieving parents, offering hugs, and walking the wards, all without a single press photographer present. Royal aides described the visit as intentional. "She chose to remind people what duty looks like," said a senior Kensington Palace figure. When asked that evening for any comment on the Duchess of Sussex's return, Catherine offered only a polite smile and walked away. It was the most eloquent silence of the week. For 3 years, King Charles had maintained a careful distance, neither fully endorsing nor condemning the situation. When Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020, Charles emphasized unity and understanding. Even after the explosive Oprah interview, he responded with the measured phrase, "Recollections may vary." But in January 2026, the king's patience appears to have ended. On the evening of January 19th, during a closed-door meeting at Clarence House with senior legal advisors, courtiers, and communications officials, King Charles III authorized his legal team to prepare a formal response, not aimed at the media, but directly at Harry and Meghan. According to sources in the room, the turning point was not Meghan's security demands or her courtroom appearance, but a sealed court filing submitted by Harry's team on January 18. The document included a timeline of alleged media manipulation and internal sabotage dating back to early 2021. It made direct references to Prince William, Catherine, and a senior royal advisor with close access to the king, widely understood to mean Sir Clive Alderton, Charles's private secretary. The implication was that the monarch's own office had enabled negative coverage of the Sussexes. "It wasn't just about protecting William anymore," one official said. "It was about the king's own integrity being called into question by his son." By the next morning, Charles had consulted the Attorney General. Later that day, his lead legal counsel was, "Photographs have emerged showing Prince Harry entering a private entrance at Clarence House, carrying a black leather briefcase labeled Confidential Reputational Strategy." According to briefings obtained by Voice of Wales, Buckingham Palace is preparing a pre-action protocol, the formal legal step, required before filing a defamation lawsuit under UK law. The proposed case would target statements made by Meghan and Harry to U.S. media outlets between 2021 and 2025, including interviews with The Cut, Variety, and CBS, as well as claims featured in their Netflix docuseries. These include allegations indirectly aimed at the households of the Prince and Princess of Wales, along with suggestions of institutional racism within the monarch's inner circle. Court documents are expected to argue that the Sussexes knowingly disseminated false narratives that caused significant reputational harm to working members of the royal family. The case would also claim that their repeated use of royal titles and imagery in press appearances and commercial branding amounts to unauthorized appropriation of royal identity. Palace insiders further allege that the couple's legal and media strategy has involved deliberate theatricality intended to pressure the monarchy into silence. Legal experts note that if King Charles proceeds, it would mark an unprecedented step in modern royal history, a monarch suing his own son and daughter-in-law. However, sources close to the king insist he is not bluffing. He has finally accepted that patience has cost him too much, one aide said. "This isn't about revenge. It's about ending the performance once and for all." The move also aligns closely with efforts to protect the Princess of Wales's public image. Since her health challenges began, Catherine has maintained a strict policy of silence in response to Meghan's accusations, which have ranged from claims of emotional neglect to allegations of palace cruelty. As these claims continued to surface in court filings and American media, royal strategists reportedly grew concerned that the prolonged silence was being interpreted as vulnerability. They painted Catherine as the silent ice queen, said one constitutional historian. Now the Crown is speaking for her, and it's speaking through Charles. A senior royal advisor put it more bluntly. They're not letting Meghan sell another tea towel on Catherine's back. At the center of the king's shifting stance is the unresolved fallout from the 2021 Oprah interview. While the palace's public response at the time was restrained, Charles was said to be deeply shaken. A private memo uncovered by The Telegraph reveals that in April 2021 he wrote, "To stand accused of failing one's child is one pain. To be rendered voiceless in that accusation is a greater one still." No formal counter-narrative was offered at the time, and the silence, according to palace officials, allowed the Sussexes' version of events to harden into accepted fact. Private family tensions were gradually transformed into public indictments and global headlines. Officials now believe those earlier omissions could become powerful tools in court. "We didn't speak when we should have," said one senior figure. "Now we will speak where we must." A lawsuit from the king would carry far-reaching institutional as well as legal consequences. Could Harry face the loss of further privileges? Would the palace seek public retractions or injunctions against Meghan's royal-themed branding? And what precedent would it set for royal family members operating outside institutional boundaries? Legal analysts suggest the palace could invoke the rarely used Crown Protection Clause, an obscure principle in royal law that permits the defense of institutional symbols, inherited dignity, titles, crests, and ceremonial associations. This could allow Charles's team to argue that the Sussexes' interviews, product packaging, and public statements misrepresent royal authority and confuse the public. As of January 20th, Meghan's legal team has declined to comment publicly on the threat of a countersuit. Sources close to Archewell have indicated privately that any attempt to silence a woman's lived experience would be met with a strong legal and public response. The palace, however, appears undeterred. On the morning of January 20th, 2026, a gray, overcast sky hung over London as the city braced for one of the most emotionally charged days in recent royal history. By 8 a.m., barricades were up outside the Royal Courts of Justice. International media lined the streets while protesters and supporters gathered under umbrellas. All eyes were fixed not on politicians or celebrities, but on the couple who once promised to modernize the monarchy, and now stand accused of fracturing it. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle arrived separately. Meghan emerged first in a perfectly tailored ivory trench coat, raising a gloved hand not in a wave, but in a poised, almost regal pause, surrounded by her team of PR handlers and armed security. Chief among the arrivals was Meghan, accompanied by a stylist who fussed nervously with her collar. There was no mistaking her intention. She wanted to be seen, not as a litigant, but as a duchess reclaiming her place. Harry arrived later, alone in the back seat of a dark Range Rover. He stepped out quietly, avoiding eye contact. His face was drawn and tense, his left hand trembling slightly as he gripped his coat. Inside Courtroom 1, silence descended as Justice Nicklin took his seat. The judge began by reading the list of plaintiffs aloud: Prince Harry, Baroness Doreen Lawrence, Elton John, David Furnish, Sadie Frost, and Sir Simon Hughes. Each claimed unlawful information gathering and sought justice. Yet only one name dominated the proceedings. Harry's barrister, David Sherborne, opened the arguments, his tone defensive and hurried. Justice Nicklin interrupted him twice, first seeking clarification on the timeline of accusations involving Prince William's office, and again questioning why key witnesses had either retracted their statements or declined to appear in person. Tension rose further when documents were presented, suggesting media payments to individuals connected to the palace. The language remained vague, with no names attached. In the back row, a senior royal aide whispered, "If that's their whole case, they've already lost." Despite sensational headlines promising a royal showdown, no working members of the royal family appeared in court. Their presence, however, was undeniable. The judge read a formal submission from Buckingham Palace stating clearly that King Charles III, Queen Camilla, and the Prince and Princess of Wales did not authorize or support the claimant's attempt to represent the interests or reputation of the royal household. A second, sharper letter signed by Princess Anne, Prince Edward, and the Duchess of Edinburgh rejected the effort outright. The claimants' attempts to link their private grievances with the dignity of the crown are wholly rejected. We serve the public, not personal narratives. Notably, Catherine issued no statement. Royal observers understood the message in her silence. While Meghan sought to revive her Duchess title, Catherine continued quietly strengthening the monarchy for the next generation. Her absence spoke louder than any words Meghan could spin. As arguments concluded, all eyes turned to Harry. His expression remained unreadable, his gaze flickering toward Meghan only once. She did not look back. Outside, rain began to fall. Justice Nicklin delivered no verdict. That would come later. But his closing remarks carried significant weight. This court exists to examine truth, not to amplify theater. The pursuit of privacy cannot itself become an act of spectacle. The gavel fell. Meghan left swiftly, composed but silent, offering no statement, no smile, no declaration of victory. Harry lingered in the hallway. One photographer captured him staring at the floor, lips pressed tightly together. For a fleeting moment, he resembled the young boy at his mother's funeral, lost amid a crowd too loud for grief. As the world processes the day's events, the implications are sobering. Will Harry face sanctions for making unproven claims against his brother? Will the palace pursue a defamation countersuit? Will Meghan retreat or escalate? What is already clear is that their attempt to return on their own terms has set in motion something irreversible. A monarchy once criticized for its silence has now spoken with unmistakable clarity. A public once divided now demands accountability. A crown once wounded shows no sign of yielding.
For tuning in. Have a lovely
This was
evening,
never
and,
merely
we'll be back to
a
see you
court
tomorrow.
case.
Bye.
It was a reckoning,
I love you all.
and the royal family did not flinch.